first stuff that I heard was my mother's youngest brother was a sailor. You know, he was a merchant seaman, and he used to bring records back from America. Not so much rock and roll records, probably things like Hank Williams and country records and that. I don't know really. It's most of the lads I grew up with were all into sport. They were all into football and cricket and all the rest of it. And I couldn't kick a ball to save my life, but for some reason, I just got turned on to, you know, the music. When I first heard some of the guitar riffs, you know, on these records, I was just fascinated by it, you know. It happens every time. I was about 11 when I started playing, yeah. And the first guitar I had, my dad actually made it. And I don't know how he did it, but of course he cut out the shape, and how he got the edges to go around, how he managed to get the wood bent to do that, I don't know. But then my mum and dad bought me an acoustic guitar, which I'll show you the photograph of later. But my mum and dad bought me an acoustic, and I formed a skiffle group, you know, doing all the Lonnie Donegan stuff and that type of stuff. Sigh, cry. I was probably about 12, 13, but a skiffle group. That was a skiffle group, and it was my skiffle group really. Brian Young was in it with me. Again, I've got some pictures there, but the first rock and roll music I used to play wasn't in a band. It was with my friend Derek, and we used to back this fella called Roy Hickson, and he was good actually. He fancied himself as an Elvis sort of impersonator, if you like. And we never did any gigs. We just used to practice in his front room. But not long after that, I was asked to join the Renas. The Renas at that time consisted of 3 Brians: Brian James, Brian Dean, and Brian Young, and Ray Walker, who was the singer, you know, the vocalist. And I didn't even have an electric guitar, so I borrowed Derek's electric guitar, a Hofner Club 60, and I played just one night in a hall by Sefton Park. I can kiss you. Got it down there as 1958.
58.
I got that from Brian James. Brian James told me that. So I would say it's 1958. Now it's done. No, I'm not really aware of when the Cavern opened, but when it opened, it was a jazz club. Yeah. So really, the Mersey Beat groups weren't playing there then. But what did happen was on a Tuesday night, the Swinging Blue Jeans, who were a jazz group at the time, you know, with a banjo and a double bass and all that, on a Tuesday night, they'd have the Swinging Blue Jeans guest night, and they'd bring along a Mersey Beat band, you know, and slowly but surely, the jazz sort of faded away, and it became the beat venue, you know. You'd play anywhere. There used to be a club in I think there was Samson and Barlow's, I think, in London Road, wasn't it? And there was the Black Cat Club. I think that was, whether that was Samson and Barlow's or whether it was above Samson and Barlow's. But they were like country and western clubs, weren't they? So you'd take a gig anywhere you could. Really. Oh, I miss her so. It just sort of faded, I think, from jazz. I think, I don't know whether bringing the bands in swelled the numbers and it started to bring in more people through the doors. I don't know, but it tended to just drift then from jazz to beat, and it must have been around that period of the late 50s. Ever since not tied up with dates, but certainly played there with the Beatles, and you know, when I say all the bands, obviously, you know, the Liverpool bands, the Jerry and the Pacemakers and that. We played there with the Hollies one night, and Herman's Hermits, people like that, Freddie and the Dreamers, but you know, I mean, they're like, from my point of view, I mean, I never made it, if you like, you know. I mean, even John and Brian, at least they became professional musicians, didn't you? You know, and went over, you know, on the Hamburg thing. I would have loved to have gone on the Hamburg thing, but I'd done 3 years of an apprenticeship, and you know, it just was a no-brainer for me to give it up. You know, it's I mean, I'm going off a little bit now, but a mate of mine, Terry Sylvester, out of the Hollies, he worked with me. We were both apprentices, but he did give his apprenticeship up, and went professional, and it worked out for him. You know, he ended up with the Swinging Blue Jeans and the Hollies. There was uproar, wasn't there? There was protests and everything, weren't there? And people, you know, I mean, I suppose there's always going to be someone who'll latch on to something like that, isn't there, and have a protest. But there was all sorts of protests and about it closing down, and I mean, I suppose, well, it needed to be closed down. You know, close it down and then regret it later. You know, kick ourselves later on. But I suppose with the likes of just talking about the cavern itself, I mean Liverpool. If you go down to Liverpool now, it's been transformed, doesn't it? You know, it's fantastic. And I mean, for years and years, it was derelict, wasn't it? You know, there was, you know, you had the cavern, you had the Iron Door, and all these other places, but they were just in basements, weren't they? That were, you know. And as you say, health and safety was non-existent. But the place was ripe for regeneration anyway, wasn't it? So I think it was inevitable that some of those places were going to have to go in order to, you know, to redevelop the city and that. And as sad as it was, I mean, I don't know whether anyone still believes that the cavern is the original cavern. I don't know. I think. Whether any people from abroad do, I don't know. I'm